By the end of this video, your player will be able to double jump. Let's get started. This is a video in a playlist series, and we have already covered the topics of jumping and doing an IsGrounded check. So if you're just here for the double jump portion and you haven't done any jump code, go check out those videos first. The links are in the video description, but otherwise, let's go ahead and start working on our double jump code. I'm going to make a new serialized field and call this double jump force, and then I'm going to make a private bool which says can double jump. Next, we're going to go under update. I think it makes sense that we want the same key that we're using for jump to also work for double jump, and in this case we should only double jump if we're not grounded. We can copy this logic in here and then write an else if statement. We can paste this in here, do some squiggly brackets, and then we can go before the get is grounded and put an exclamation mark. This is the same as writing if this equals false. It's just shorthand. And next, we could write a method called double jump and then put some code in there, but we already have a jump method that's doing the work, so let's just reuse that. Let's instead declare an argument in the jump method here, and we can call this float force. Basically, what we're going to do is allow ourselves to reuse the jump method for both jump and double jump by passing through an argument in these brackets. We need to change this variable in here from jump force to this local one here called force. Now, we can technically name this variable whatever we want, but we should not name it the same as this variable here or this variable here. Otherwise, there will be a conflict. It should have a unique name. Speaking of which, I'm also going to give a default value to my double jump force. We'll just give that 6F. And in here, it's now throwing an error because it's looking for me to pass through an argument. So in this case, I'm going to go in these parentheses and write jump force. Then I'm going to copy this, go here under the else if, and instead of using jump force, we're going to pass through double jump force. Whichever value we send through will now come out here and be used in this force variable. Now, of course, there's one more thing we have to do in here. We have to add a third condition, and we also have to say if we can double jump, if can double jump is true. And after we perform our double jump, we should set can double jump to be equal to false. I think it makes sense if we set it back to true when we do a get is grounded check, because if we are grounded, if we meet the conditions for being grounded, then technically we should be able to double jump the next time we're in the air. So instead of writing return physics2d.raycast, I'm now going to delete the word return and write bool hit equals physics2d.raycast. I'm then going to go down a line and say if hit, so if this hit is true, if we are grounded, then we can say can double jump is allowed to be true again. And now, of course, it's throwing an error because we're not returning it, so at the end, we just need to return hit. We can save, and we can go back to Unity to test that out. So if I press space and then jump again, it does work, but there's a couple of issues. If I press space twice really fast, I just take off into the air, and if I jump at the height of my jump, I barely move at all. Similarly, if I was to jump while falling, which I am okay with, by the way, I'm okay with being able to perform a midair jump if I just walk off a surface. I want to be able to double jump, but barely anything happens. Basically, what we're doing is kind of like throwing this ball up and down. If I catch it and release it, I can release it with a constant amount of force. But if I try to bounce it when it's on its way down, well, it doesn't go very far. On the other hand, if I try to bounce it while it's already going up, in order to ensure that we are seeing a consistent result, over here in the else if, we can go above where we're calling jump, and we can say rigid body, being a reference to our rigid body variable, the one that's declared up here. We can say rigid body dot velocity equals vector2 dot 0, and then just for good measure, we can also write rigid body dot angular velocity equals 0, basically resetting it to 0 whenever we're about to perform a double jump, so we should see a consistent result no matter what state our player is in. Now, I can see that if I tap space at the height of my jump, he does perform a little hop, and if I were to jump in the midair, it doesn't matter, it's the same. If I jump while falling, he also performs a little hop. So that's great, we have a consistent double jump no matter what our current velocity is. However, there is one more bug to fix, If I was to tap space really quickly, for instance here, you're going to notice that he's not double jumping at all. If I was to click these 3 dots here and select debug, I can tell when my can double jump variable is true and when it's false. Right now, I would be expecting to see it as true, but I can see that it's false, meaning I cannot double jump at all. Then when I jump, suddenly it becomes available. It has to do with when getIsGrounded is being called. We're calling getIsGrounded when we hit the jump button. Really, we're only performing this check whenever we are pressing jump. So when we're requesting to jump, what we want to be doing for the sake of setting can double jump to be true, we need to call getIsGrounded whenever we have a collision. We're going to, in order to do this, we're going to write private void on collision enter 2D, getIsGrounded here, and then it will already perform this check in here for us, and it should set can double jump to be true if the conditions for being grounded are met whenever we enter a collision. If I were to test this out, I jump in the air, I double jump, and when I land, can double jump is true. If I was to double jump in the air and then try to line myself up against this pillar, I can see can double jump only becomes true when I actually hit the ground on here. So that is working much better. I do think my double jump is a little weak though, so I'm going to up that to maybe 10, and that gives a little bit of a better result, more to what I would be expecting to see. This next video is going to be an exciting one because we're going to be giving our player the ability to wall jump. I'll see you there.